It's Thursday. Oh, and we're kind of wrapping this day up. I'm going to make another brief video before I go after this one, showing myself cleaned up after a job, because I have to clean up on these jobs. This is a real third world living here. I come to these jobs and work all day as a house painter, then I gig at night. Not every night, but I do have a gig tonight. And so not only that, I'm responsible for the food at the gig. I'm doing a fundraiser tonight over in North Hollywood, a thing called Rent Club that we do to keep Kulak's Woodshed paid and solvent. At least that's our aim. Place is a money pit, but it's run on an entirely non-profit basis, and so myself and my partner Alexia and then whoever we can pull in at the moment put these shows on, and all the money goes to pay the rent, to pay the landlord, the evil landlord, who's actually a wonderful guy. Which brings me to my topic, sort of, and I guess I'll start here, so I'm not too far out of range. I'm not sure you can hear me, but I suppose you can. I'm a landlord, believe it or not. I have a little place that I sort of own. It's really the family owns it, but there was some money that I got when I was married by way of an investment that my parents made to help my wife and I buy a house. And when that marriage split up, that money was set aside for me, basically, the money that came back from that down payment that they had lent us. So whatever money that we had at the sale of that house went into the bank. And so several years later, after the divorce, while I was really in the throes of some pretty serious alcoholism, I cooked up the idea that I needed to have an investment property, and I got bad advice, and I made bad decisions, and most of it was because I was drunk most of the time, and I got involved right at the top of the market, and of course, very soon after, the bubble burst, as anybody with two brain cells to rub together should have known, and I, lacking that second brain cell, went upside down like most people did, or many people did. But I'm a landlord. But I am a landlord. And now the chickens are coming home to roost in every way that I used to think that landlords they had everything. A guy, what do you mean, a landlord? Shit. Those guys can afford this, whatever. I have put so much money into this place and never made one single dime. Ever, not one penny. I've never realized the slightest amount of profit out of this bit, and in fact lost my whole life savings. And it's still in the family's name, and eventually we'll liquidate it, and I won't get that money back. So that chunk of money that would have been mine is all lost. And the other brothers and sisters were able to get that same sort of deal, and they made smarter deals, and they went on to become part of their nest egg. But anyway, that's the situation of the landlord who my tenant has, which is just by way of, I'm not here to complain, I'm just saying that things are not always what they seem. And it's a sad state of affairs, as my father would always say. It's a sad state of affairs, Dave. It's a sad thing that we've developed this sense in this country of an adversarial relationship between landlords and tenants, and between bosses and workers. I largely lay that at the feet of the unions. Not entirely, but they've certainly used that. Every time you see a strike going on, you see these guys out there, and they're always overweight. Always. They're always, the women are too. They're always out there and they're yelling. How pissed up they are at the damn union, whatever the reason is, and they're going to shut it all down. And it's always a bad. Those damn bosses, they can afford everything, and they don't care at all about the workers. This is their sense of it. And it's been going on for so long, I imagine that in some cases they're right. That the bosses don't care much about their workers. When everything is an adversarial relationship at all times, hang on a second. What's to love? What's to love? When the only time you hang out with your people is to hear their grievances. But that's a little. I'm missing the point a little bit. What I wanted to talk about is kind of an original take, I think, on the whole business thing. Now, in the way that I have my finger on the pulse of this sort of anti-business left is that I have 1,300 friends on Facebook who are largely very verbal, and they are largely liberals of the sort of activist kind. Folk musicians tend to sort of be activists in their lives. Not all of them, of course. And not all of them, I assume, are liberals. Just probably, 97 to 99%. Sure, there's room for error in there. But they are almost all influenced by the roots of this music, is that it kind of sees itself as the champion of the poor. And there's all these old union songs. They really, they're all sad that they missed the era where they could be standing up on a dais and singing into a single microphone with Dylan and Joan Baez about, they ain't going to go work on Maggie's farm no more, which we're all taking to mean they ain't going to work for the man, babe. And they really wanted to hang out with Odetta and, have some kind of Woody Guthrie moment. Where they felt like a champion. This still goes on. I played a fundraiser, don't get mad at me, liberal conservatives out there, but I played a couple of fundraisers for the Obama campaign. The first time around I was taken in by him and thought it would be a good thing. So, plus it's a gig, I'll play, I'm more, give me some attention. So I played these fundraisers, and my God, you would think it was the 1930s, and we were trying to get child labor out of the dark, noisy factories. Some of the other folk singers on these bills these people were just singing old protest songs and getting it on. It's ridiculous. All of these people, none of these people would be there on an evening like that if it were not for big business. None of us would get anything done if it were not for big business. It's everywhere, at all times. To be beside yourself with anger at BP because one oil well out of thousands of oil wells that are in the Gulf develops a leak is to be moronic, frankly. If you are at all using the product that they bring you, then it doesn't mean you should be quiet, but it means you should be reasonable. And you should understand that in order for them to bring you a product at a price you're willing to and able to pay, they've got to be profitable, for God's sake. And so what I'm trying to get around to here is we make business so onerous, both culturally through all of the ways that we portray it in film. It's always the guy in a suit, it's the bad guy. And then we got two movies out right now, The Wolf of Wall Street, I've already spoken about here. And these are portraying people who are just savage in their desire to get rich at any cost. And I want to talk a little bit about how we culturally are actually encouraging that. And that is by making business onerous. The idea is that the harder we make, if we lay these restrictions on and keep moving corporate taxes higher and higher, that we will then restrict bad behavior on the part of business people. Well, in fact, what we do is we encourage bad behavior, because what we do is we discourage people from going into business who are sweet, who are nice people. We discourage that. I have a friend who runs a restaurant, not too far from here actually, sweet thing, and she was talking one night about all the hoops she was having to jump through just to stay in business, which she very well probably will go out of business in the next year. And I said to her, "So, are you a conservative yet?" And of course, she knew what I was talking about. I won't answer for her, but she understood that when you make business a lousy thing to do, only lousy people are going to want to do it, because they won't follow the rules. They don't care. All they want to do is get a profit. So we want people in business who, one of the things they want to do is make a profit, but they also want to do a lot of other things. They want to provide a interesting workplace. They want to give people a common place to work and good experience. They care about the worker. They're thinking as much in terms of providing long-term employment for people to support their families with and build communities with, as they are thinking about the bottom line for them. So we need to make going into business a lot easier so that the good people will join up and do it. If you make it really tough, those folks will just say, "You know what, it's really not worth it. I'm going to make macrame handbags in the garden and sell them at the flea market. I'll do that. And I will, maybe I'll teach a yoga class down at the senior center, and that will be my contribution to the world." Well, I'd rather that person have a chain of yoga parlors for seniors and, do something big. Dream big. Do something interesting. Well, I don't mean necessarily a chain of yoga parlors. We have yoga parlors sea to shining sea out here in Los Angeles. But there's a lot of people who just simply aren't going to go into business because it's nasty to do it. It's hard to do it. It's a pain in the ass. The government's all over everything you do. And there's red tape at every turn. And all that the Democrats ever do is add more red tape. They make it more and more onerous. Well, I'm not saying we should remove all of it, of course. Right now, of course, we've had that water problem in West Virginia. It didn't take very long. It's a fucking Koch brothers, It's the Koch brothers. Whenever anything goes wrong in the world, those Koch brothers are sitting up at night going, "Have we poisoned anybody today? Really? No poisonings at all today? We've really got to get on that." Because we're not in the business of providing a product that people use and can afford and getting our profits that way. We're really in the business of is fucking people over. Well, that's in the religion of the left. They are short a savior right now. Obama was that for a little while. But they've never lost sight, but they never are short the demon. They've always got the demon. The demon right now is the Koch brothers, the twin antichrists of America. So anyway, that's a little aside there. But when you start thinking that anything big is necessarily bad, and it's portrayed that way, then who's going to want to do it? Who's going to want to enter business and do it in such a way that it's not bad? And we got people like Jim Senegal, who we talked about before, who was sort of the anti-Walmart guy. He's sort of the saint to the Walton family's evil cabal. He's sort of the nice business guy, and whatever this guy does, he won't be criticized because he's been assigned that status. And so, but the truth is, he cares. There's things he does that are geared toward making his workplace a nicer place to work. He cares about things, and we need more guys like him. So we need to, rather than making it harder and harder for people to go into business, we need to make it easier and easier for people to go into business. I just heard today that that the socialist leader of France is going through a lot of rethinking over there. He's lowering corporate taxes and realizing that, well, you know, maybe this whole socialism thing isn't such a great idea. And now they've got 25% unemployment or whatever disastrous level of unemployment they have over there. They've hiked the minimum wage up so high that nobody can get hired anymore. And gee, it turns out that doesn't solve all the problems. You know, what solve the problems is people selling products to people who can afford to buy products. That's what runs all the programs. You know, you can't fund any program without that. So the idea being for today is that we need to embrace the idea of business. Just business is not a bad thing. It's no different than I play you a song, you like the song, you say, hey, you got a CD? And I go, I sure do, here it is. How much is that? It's $15. Wow, that's just over $1 a song, I'll buy that. And somebody buys it, they enjoy it, and maybe they'll buy my next CD. If they don't enjoy it, shit out of luck. I've either got to produce better CDs, or I got to find my audience. You know, and that is the same as this. You know, I'm painting this damn house, and, you know, this is $3,300 here. It's 3 weeks' work. I'll make $1,000 for each of those weeks if I don't dick around too much, and if I do a good enough job, they'll tell their friends. There's nothing onerous about it. That's not love or worship of money like the Pope says. You know, it's the exchange of goods. You can't walk around. I can't walk around carrying a basket of chickens hoping to run into somebody who's got a guitar that I want to buy. I go, hey, we can trade. You know, barter is good, but capitalism is bad. Well, you know, you just store the value in the paper. It's all you do so that you can carry it around in your wallet, where obviously chickens are difficult to carry in your wallet. But there's nothing wrong with any of this. It gets out of control, and I do want to. Tomorrow is a Friday, and I'm going to institute something here at World's Smartest Painter International called Philosophy Friday. And tomorrow I'll talk philosophy a little bit in short little chunks. See if I can delineate some of the basic principles. So anyway, I'm going to turn this off.